Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, you're listening to World Combat Sports. What's good? Catch weight 742. Boxing episode. You know what it is. World Combat Sports back at you. Definitely, I want to talk about the underlying subject that has a lot to do with what we've been tuned into for the last 2 weeks or so. You know, many conversations have pretty much died down about Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko on certain channels. But really, the hardcore boxing heads understand. They understand this totally. That when it comes down to that particular matchup, which is going to be an epic one on paper, you know what I'm saying? If it lives up to the hype, we good. You know what I'm saying? We good. But we want people to understand that we need to hold that shit accountable, that the franchise belt is nothing but a trinket. A franchise belt is nothing but a boxing trophy on a higher level. We need to understand that. We need to understand that respectfully to Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko in their accolades in the sport of boxing, we do need to hold the sport accountable for having too many collateral belts and boxers now saying, okay, this is what I am. I'm a world champion. I'm this. I'm undisputed. And then, you know, depending on what era you grew up in, it's always going to be up for debate. Kind of local sports in the building. Salute to you. It's always going to be up for debate. The reason being is because we're used to a set of titles that actually mean something that's been in the boxing structure and regulation for quite some time. Those titles are what meant everything, all the way up to, you know, from the old school to the new school. They've implemented the WBC, WBA, IBF, and the WBO and the IBO. IBO is sitting on the end, you know, it's getting this recognition, but I hold the IBO above the franchise, to be honest. I hold that above the franchise because not one fighter has did anything with the franchise for us to respect it. So when it comes down to, like I said before, this big lightweight divisional matchup for the unification, we must hold it accountable to underscore that it's just a unification. It's nothing more than that. It's not for undisputed. It is not. We cannot call ourselves hardcore boxing fans and aficionados if we're going to sit up here and say, okay, well, I want to favor Lomachenko. And in that perspective, I want to say if he beats Teofimo Lopez, he's the freaking undisputed because he had the franchise belt previously. You know what I'm saying? Now he actually, you know, did something with the franchise belt. He was the first one to actually go in the ring and defend his titles, even though you're not really defending the franchise belt. I was having a conversation with somebody. I'm trying to explain to them, Lomachenko is not defending the franchise belt. Defending places a boxer in a position to have a percentage of loss. You know what I'm saying? There's a percentage of loss. If that individual doesn't win, there's a percentage or there's a result in its totality that says that boxer loses that title. In this particular case with the franchise belt, Lomachenko isn't losing the motherfucking title. You know, Mauricio Suleiman made that clear. He's not losing the title. So therefore, we put the T word in there. We say, okay, it's transferable. It doesn't have to be transferable. Seriously, it doesn't have to be. That's just another, you know, I wouldn't say stipulation. That's just another benefit or addition to the boxer, whoever's the beneficiary. In this case, they wanted to make this fight big enough for people to tune in and put the language in there. But at the end, you know, when it's all said and done, they fucking over the fighter. And the reason why I say that, we live in an era where people are extremely petty. Like a boxer can go out here and do everything and believe they're at the top of the ladder and they're going there performing the best of their ability. They putting in the hard work in the gym and all that shit. But it's still not enough when it comes down to it. What's going on, Don Dada in the building? Wrench gang gang. You know, they say it's, you know, I'm doing everything. I'm dedicated, committed. I'm going in here and fighting. But in this particular case, of the lightweight division, this fight definitely would have been much bigger if it wasn't for COVID-19 and the pandemic. But I just want boxing heads to understand, for those who cover the sport and for those who support the sport of boxing as fans, you need to understand and hold these conversations to a level of respectability. Stop going around here saying that Vasily Lomachenko and Teofimo is going to be truly an undisputed title. The belt has absolutely, the franchise green panty belt has no freaking history to it whatsoever. It was an impulsive type of delegation, to be honest. That's all it was. You know how they say you go out here and impulsively buy shit, and then you get home, you don't know why the fuck you bought it? That's exactly what's going on right here. This was an impulsive delegation. This was a way to benefit somebody who still didn't win. Canelo Alvarez, Saul Canelo Alvarez. Hey, Canelo Alvarez, they wanted to make him the golden child, top pound for pound, and benefit, you know, give him as the first beneficiary to the franchise green panty title. And he absolutely did nothing. Not only did he not do anything, he is becoming one of the, you know, the most notarized disappointments in the sport of boxing right now, because somehow in his career he just became complacent. Then it comes to Lomachenko being delegated. Both him and Canelo was designated at the same fucking time to do exactly what they did not want to do. They didn't want to face their motherfucking mandatory. They did not. They was provided an outlet and they took it. They took it. They was provided as the beneficiaries for that franchise belt. And it was basically to eliminate them from facing a tougher opposition potentially. In both situations, when it comes to Marcelo and it comes to Devin Haney. Now we can sit up here and insinuate that we don't know who would have won those fights. Okay. But to the fighter who accepted the franchise belt to release themselves from obligation needs to be held accountable. They need to be held accountable for being the Doug Masters Coalition, front and center, for being a part of the Doug Masters Coalition. Because what we used to as boxing heads and aficionados is for you to step in and face your mandatories when you're supposed to, especially holding that WBC belt. On one side of the spectrum with the WBC, it's supposed to be the coveted title, right? And then on the other side, you create a superficial, valueless title. A title that has no preface, no merit, no history. So the WBC was coveted. People loved, they wanted to get that green belt. It was coveted. Now you make a title, the superseded, that has no history behind it except the name that you put with it. You just said WBC and then attached the franchise to it. So I'm saying to these fighters like Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko, be sure whichever one of you wins, you do what is right and face the super champion, the WBC super title holder. It's only right. It is only right, people. When you're having all these conversations, I know we've been talking about, you know, potentially making Russell and Haney. I get it. I understand. But when it comes down to this fight, this is one of the biggest fights that's popping off in the next 2 months. Hands down. You know, Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko is bigger than Charlo's. You know it is. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's bigger than Gervonta Davis's. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It don't have shit to do with who your favorite fighter is. Lopez and Lomachenko is one of the biggest fights that's popping off in October. Period. It is for the unified titles, and also Teofimo Lopez is basically going in there with the top pound for pound guy. He's not even on the top pound for pound list. It's so much glory that's attached to this fight, man. It's extremely amount of glory. Because Teofimo Lopez has won a championship in his, in the first division. For him winning a championship within 15 fights. If he goes in there and defeats Lomachenko, it does catapult his career to a whole nother level. It does solidify his name in a whole nother tier before he moves up to 140. It does. That means he would have accomplished a lot in the first division for which he was able to win the championship. For Vasily Lomachenko, I'm unsure, people. I'm absolutely unsure what the fuck he's going to do, because Vasily has proven that he will not handle his obligations on the back end of his career. He did not want that tough fight with Devin Haney. And it's a disappointment, because if you high tech and if you top pound for pound, it's certain demands that goes along with the position you are holding, shouty. And that particular position for you, Lomachenko, is to face the best competition. Just like Gennady Golovkin. When he was at his name was being freaking belted and vocalized by Jim Lampley. The man was a machine and all this. We was expecting him to fight the best competition. And I don't have to say Gennady Golovkin, he didn't really hesitate to face Canelo Alvarez. He didn't. I mean, shit. He went in there and did what he had to do. I'm not sure why his name is not on the dotted line for a trilogy just yet. That may be more so Canelo Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? What is fucked up is that Canelo, they was tying you to Floyd Mayweather for stepping in there and giving you all the adulation possible for stepping in at a young age. But then you can't accept the fact that Floyd Mayweather was much, much better than you would ever be in handling situations like that. A much better boxer. So you come out your mouth and say, I don't, no sé, amigo. No sé, amigo. I don't understand, no. No entiendes. Floyd Mayweather did not beat me. And I'm like, I take it as I'm just not being ready. No, he defeated you, Canelo. Face it. Floyd Mayweather gave you a clinic. He taught you a lesson, you learned from it, and you attempted to emulate the blueprint. I respect you for that. Salute to you. Real talk. Salute to you. D Hodges in the building. Salute, man. Vacant until they face the dream. Hey, for real. Salute, man. For real, when I look at this whole deal with this fight, I just wanted to work out. I keep that shit like I'm talking from a boxing perspective. I really want to see a true undisputed title. I want to say, damn, he's a bad motherfucker, dog. Like, I can give him his just due from here on out. Whether it be Lomachenko or Teofimo Lopez, I can give them just due. Even though I don't like Lomachenko right now because he didn't fight, Haney when he had the chance. If he somehow, some way wins this fight and then turn around and say, you know what, I'm gonna have another tough fight back to back. I heard what the people been talking. And for us that's been privy to what's been going on, we know how powerful social media can be on here at this juncture. The reason why I'm saying that, we totally understand that it's possible if enough media outlets talk to the right people, word can get out and promote certain fights and matchups, right? So if Lomachenko would turn around and say, I'm gonna jump into another tough fight after this fight with Tio, and I'm gonna face Devin Haney to prove to the people that I can do it. I can beat him. I would respect him. The same with Teofimo Lopez. I would absolutely respect him more. I respect what he has done. You know what I'm saying? I can also give him his criticism also. They chose to go the more smarter route. You know, they didn't want the WBC tournament. They didn't want to face the names that potentially was in there, and knowing you know, those opposition would be much tougher, especially getting to the top, to the finals, and fighting for your first world championship. And you're going in there with the boxer like Devin Haney, right? So you chose Richard Comey, who doesn't really add up to the boxing skills of Haney, but he was a bona fide champion. Good guy. He went in there, tilled, and did what he had to do. But even him, a lot of this will be erased on both fighters if whoever wins, they face the super champion, the WBC world champion in the lightweight division. The WBC belt is spoken on as being the coveted title. Period. It has been spoken on plenty of times, y'all. It is only a certain amount of people talking about holding this fight as a unification fight. And we all know the higher ups, those individuals that's at the promotions and the managers, the matchmakers, they listen to YouTube. They have tuned in a lot more in wake of what's been going on in the past 2 weeks, all over these platforms. They've been tuned in and watching this shit. So you think they're not going to hear you, and you when you put thumbnails up? When you put thumbnails up, they're not going to watch your shit. Yeah, they're watching. So y'all got to start treating this bout no other way except to say this is a unification bout. So somehow Mauricio Suleiman potentially, hopefully, he removed this belt. Mauricio Suleiman needs to remove this franchise belt. He needs to remove it. It's not like it's solidified to the point where, you know, you have 50% of the boxing fans respecting it as a legitimate title. It isn't at that level yet. So it's still enough time to remove this belt. Seriously, you can remove this belt. Teofimo Lopez, if he wins, he will only be the third recipient of this belt. Whether he do anything with it, that's yet to be seen. You know why? Because if they're talking about moving up to 140, that would have been three recipients of this belt that did absolutely nothing with it. They didn't do a motherfucking thing with this belt except hold the title. You go up to 140 and you want to have a damn post fight, and you want to say, yeah, you know, I want to thank God, you know, what I was able to do at lightweight division. You know, I picked up my first championship, and then I was able to unify and become undisputed. And then that's when I expect those announcers or commentators or whatever to say, well, what do you feel about the people and what they're talking about as far as the franchise belt? Being that, you know, you had a fighter like Devin Haney there, and you know, he was the long lost super title that was over there that legitimized the undisputed title in that division. It would legitimize you as the undisputed champion. What was the rush to get up here? Because there's not really much going on right now at the 40 division. So why did you feel that it was, you know, in haste for you to hurry up and elevate yourself, jump on the elevator and push the 40 button and move up without considering another big fight, another big paycheck? That's what we need to start talking about also. Because regardless if this fight happened or not between, you know, Haney and Russell, it comes down to a fight that is happening. This fight between Lopez and Lomachenko is going down, people. It's no negotiation. That shit is over. We already know how that worked out for Tio. We know how it worked out for Lomachenko. That shit is finalized. But when whoever You know, we got fights going on in that camp, in those two camps. And then you have whoever Haney fights. The reason why I'm saying Haney is because either way it goes, he can face the winner of Lomachenko and Lopez. I just want to see a division right now be able to possess a division that we tune in as much as we tune in to the 35 division. I really want to see a legitimate, authentic, undisputed championship that's not contaminated by this franchise belt. We can't say that about the welterweight. The welterweight, you know, unification and to potentially see an undisputed title holder is just went up in smoke. It's evaporated. Seriously. You might as well consider that shit dust in the air and call it a good breeze and it's blown the fuck away. It's done. Period. The only other division that I can look at, 40. But shit, they even fighting other people. Ramirez just come off fighting goddamn Postal. And he had somebody else lined up. A UK fighter. Not by the name of Josh Taylor. So what is going on here? You know, they ain't unifying the division for undisputed. And then you turn around, look at the bantamweight. Anui holds 2 belts, but he's not even fighting a champion on the left and right side of his flank. He's not fighting John Casimiro, and he's not fighting Odin Obali. He's fighting Jason Maloney. That is to defend his titles. It's not like he had a broken freaking elbow. He broke a damn, you know, wrist, orbital, or anything like that in his fight with Nonito Donaire. It was just a tough fight where he went the distance, and that was that. He still won. But they moved Nonito Donaire over there to Odin Obali. I guess they hoping Donaire go over there and defeat Obali so they can have Anui and Donaire fight for unification. And then whoever wins that might face John Casimiro. But when we're talking about divisions that we look and pay attention to, do you believe the junior middleweight division is Charlo go ahead and fights Rosario and what we've seen from the Charlos so far? You think automatically that fight with Teixeira is going to present itself? I mean, it might, because initially, you know, Jason Rosario wasn't mentioned Charlo name, and then all of a sudden it pops out. Okay, you know, I mean, well, I received different word that he did call out Charlo, but the interpreter, you know, we was getting the impression that he didn't. But how long will it take for the winner of that junior middleweight fight to get Teixeira? All the divisions that we was hoping for, the only one that has came close to entertaining us, you know what I'm saying, with any type of undisputed title holder, not the biggest name, you know, in boxing, but they are top tier names in the sport of boxing to even step up and give us a unification. But what's contaminating it is the franchise belt. Because ultimately, there needs to be something set up. If you're going to have 2 fights left in the lightweight division, then guess what? Go up here, win this fight for the unification, and then leave no stone unturned and fight Devin Haney. Then we get some quality fighting. We get some quality, you know, a boxing schedule, knowing that the lightweight division has a unification bout coming up. We have a quality schedule, just like we had with, you know, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. I mean, that's a difference. That's a trilogy. You know what I'm saying? The reason why I'm saying that, the winner of that fight will most definitely probably face Joshua. He still has his belts. And I know that particular, you know, division will be made, that undisputed bout will be made much quicker if Tyson Fury won the title than Deontay Wilder. But I'm giving it hope, because Deontay Wilder get his belt back Everybody that support the heavyweight division will absolutely understand why I've said what I said about Joshua. Because there would be no question that if Deontay Wilder wins that freaking title, regain his title, the undisputed heavyweight championship should be on deck in 2021. It should be on deck in 2021, period. He goes in here and face Pulev. He cleans Pulev. We should get an undisputed heavyweight, the biggest heavyweight fight of 2021. And one of the biggest in boxing, especially if it's Deontay Wilder, because the it factor is there. The danger is there. The suspense, the intrigue, all that shit is there. That's all I'm saying. I know they listen. You know what I'm saying? I know Lomachenko and Lopez, you know, they tune in to social media. But as a man and as a boxer that's actually splitting the ropes, I know, T.O., you said that, you know, you had your gripes and complaints to defend your boy Rolly about journalists who never stepped in. Well, it's a lot of people who never stepped on anything. They never competed at the highest level professionally. But that doesn't mean they can't coach. That doesn't mean they don't have an opinion. That doesn't mean they couldn't understand it enough if they study it to speak on it. So that's where we at right now. Line Killer in the building. What's good? I see you got Line Killer podcast. All right, I see you. I see you. That's what's up. Oh, happy birthday, man. I didn't see that. Happy birthday to you, bro. He said, I was joining my brother, but it's my birthday and my lady already giving me that look. Hey, man, the ladies first, man. The ladies first. Ain't no question. There's no question, man. Salute. Salute, man. Go in there and enjoy yourself. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's where I'm at with this language that I'm hearing. You know, the conversations that I'm having with individuals who are favoring one fighter. So they favoring Lopez. They want to give him the credit because they like him. They say, oh, man, you know, he will legitimate, you know, earned it because he's facing Lomachenko. And if he beat him, he gets the title. Not unlike Lomachenko, who requested it, and he was raised to franchise champion, but he never fought for it. You know what I'm saying? That's what people's language is. And I listen to this and I'm trying to respond in a way that, you know, to keep it on a respectful level of dialogue, just to say, hey, do you understand what you're saying, though? You're trying to say that just because Suleiman raised them up, okay, Lopez is going to be different because he's actually going into a fight where the franchise belt is a part of the reward. But I'm telling you, it's no different because the franchise belt means absolutely nothing. I can see if we was on here treating it as if its authority ranked atop the belts, the world championships that we have, but it does not. It is not legitimate. It doesn't have enough history behind it. And basically what you're doing to the boxing fans and the sport itself, you're basically playing around with it. You're taking it for granted. You're basically saying, you know what, I can manipulate it any way I see fit, and that's what I'm going to do. It's disrespectful. It's really distasteful to the sport because already it's too many belts in the sport as we know it. And if people actually stopped, paused, and just had a refresh, you know what I'm saying? Just had a reset. They say, why don't we just clean up the sport just a little bit? Let's recognize there's too many belts out here and we need to do something about it. Let's do something about it. Let's eliminate some of these belts that really doesn't have too much value. And let's just focus on fighters fighting for the top position, competing for the top position. Let's get back to the core of it. Right now, it's just a whole spider web of motherfucking belts out here that when it comes to the franchise belt, It is the creme de la creme of trophies. It doesn't need to be included in this, man. I really hope Mauricio Suleiman does something about it. I really do. I really hope, he listened to the voices out here. There are some media segues that are reporting this fight between Lopez and Lomachenko as being not undisputed, unified. It's unification. And they're not placing too much respect on that franchise belt. But it's big. What we should be talking about now is that the winner faces the remaining world title holder at lightweight division. It's only right, it's respectful, and it should happen. That's all I'm saying. They should absolutely face the final remaining world title holder in the lightweight division. It will bring so much to the lightweight division to have an undisputed. It would have came from behind and surpassed all the divisions we was paying attention to. From the heavyweight division to the welterweight division, yes, it would have passed them up. The baton was given, and that last leg, they brung it home and finished and crossed the finish line. That's what we're trying to do. But you can't keep fucking us off like this. With all these divisions that's close to being undisputed, and then politics comes into it. You know damn well there's fighters out here holding the WBC belt, and they really appreciate having that belt. It is absolutely the coveted belt, man. But you can't say it's only coveted if certain fighters hold the belt. Gary Russell can't be the longest reigning, and that belt means so much and is coveted, but yet when it comes to the lightweight division, it ain't important enough to face Devin Haney on the backside. The winner face him to finalize everything for all the marbles, all the crown and glory. Then you look at the welterweight division, it's almost like a non-topic now. It's absolutely turned into a swap meet. That's what the welterweight title picture is looking like, a swap meet. Because motherfuckers are being swapped out over here and there and everywhere, moved into positions and all that. And just so they can face this. And then we're saying ourselves, but I thought so-and-so supposed to be, what I'm saying? It's like getting a flyer for a concert and they have all these names they're supposed to be attending. And you get there and they're the artists that those individuals support and not them themselves. The ones that actually made it and considered superstars, but no, it's just their artists. They're up and coming artists, right? That's kind of what we're seeing right now. Like, we really don't know what the fuck is going on. Welterweight division is a swap meet, y'all. We're not understanding how you can lose and then you remain at the top. You lose and you remain at the top. How is that possible? You lose, and just because you're a good guy, you stay at the top. That's not the rite of passage. It's other fighters. Why the fuck are the other fighters in line for if certain fighters are going to lose and stay at the top, and then they get moved into position to step into a championship fight again? I mean, they can get mad at what I'm talking about, but I'm saying it doesn't make any sense. It makes no logical sense. Seriously. You can't say because that fighter, well, look who he's faced. I'm really talking about Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. Real talk. Real talk. Danny Garcia loses the Sean Porter, but defeats Red Catch. And he's about to face Errol Spence for the unified titles. Sean Porter, he loses the Errol Spence, then turns around and have a fight with Famelo, which he only fought to the level, and he carried him like a new suitcase, a brand new pair of Jordans. Made sure he got him to the car safely. Really didn't turn up on this cat. And now he's positioned to potentially step in there and face the winner of Danny Garcia and Errol Spence. The only positive thing about this is when you look at Sean Porter's record, who is he lost to? You know what I'm saying? He lost to Kell Brook. He lost to Keith Thurman. He lost to Errol Spence. And if he goes in there and lose to Errol Spence again, the only saving grace that he would have to halo over his head is that, look at my losses. They was all the top tier opponents. Really. You know what I'm saying? They was all the top. They was only the top names. I understand that. But what is a boxer fighting for when certain fighters will lose and their name not popular enough to move into that position to get a title shot? So I look at it this way. In the lightweight division, you have all the popular names. The lightweight division, you have all the top names moving up to they're sitting up there right now. That's at the door that we can make happen. I believe we can make this shit happen. If we push enough on here for the winner of that fight to face, Devin Haney, it'll be a good start. Not Ryan Garcia, which that potentially may happen. You know what I'm saying? And people will tune into it. We live in a social media cloud right now. But we all know what trumps are mandatory, don't we? There's no need to tap the chalkboard and say, class. We all know what trumps are mandatory. Let's not play. So if they truly want to make this fight happen and make a legitimate unification for Undisputed, that's what needs to happen on the winner of Lomachenko and Lopez. Real talk. 2021. All roads should lead back to the WBC world title holder. It should, but will it? Do we understand if it or will it happen enough so politics won't play a role? Will Teofimo Lopez hear and don't be too upset at the verbiage of people holding him? I mean, come on, man. You're an athlete. You understand. Just like your backflip, you put a lot of emphasis into it. Put a lot of emphasis to understanding the criticism of what you hear amongst other fighters for what you're going to experience also. They will never give you credit for Undisputed if you do not face the WBC world title holder. Point blank, period. If you move up to 140, they will not give you credit. Lomachenko, they will attempt their damnness to give you credit because neighboring fighters get a pass. They love giving these cats a pass. So when it comes down to him just owning up Lomachenko and saying, let me do what's right, it's hard for me to think that Lomachenko would do that after the stunt he pulled in the Duck Masters Coalition. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he'll do it because him and Canelo Alvarez, they're drinking out of the same cup. They're drinking out of the same cup. SB90, what's good with you? What's good? What's good? Salute everybody that's in the chat. Appreciate you stopping in. It's not going to be a long live like it usually is, but I just had a conversation with someone. We was discussing it, and I was like trying to convince them to understand that it's very important that we get a lightweight Undisputed fight, but it's not the one that's going down in October. So we need to just hold off square and remain adamant, just like we've been adamant about the Russell Haney fight. We need to also regenerate that energy and come back on here and say, look, the same thing. Either way it goes, y'all. Haney's in a positive position. He's in a positive position with expectations. Why? Because he's a WBC world champion. All right. So he's in a positive gateway right now. He's going to go in there and with another opponent. I truly don't think it's going to be Russell, but if it is, it is. But he goes in there, boom. He goes in here, pick up that win, and then the November 7th date, boom. That's around the same time, a little bit after Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez. So they're getting out of camp, stepping into the ring around the same window. So therefore, We can plan for one of the biggest matches ever. One of the biggest fights ever in lightweight division, you know what I'm saying, of this era. All the hype, all the generated publicity that we've seen over here on social media, the new levels, you know what I'm saying, the attention that was given to Haney Russell. We totally understand that the potential of social media has just fulminated and imploded to a whole nother level. Period. A whole nother level of promotion. It has. It's taken off to a whole nother level, people. Look, we cannot allow this to go away just because you're not going to get all the moving parts all the time. A big part of this was that during the pandemic, everything is bottlenecked to social media. So when you look at the teams, not every team is going to be present like Bill Haney was. I'm just keeping it 100. Everybody's not going to be present like Batman. Everybody's not going to be present like Gary Russell. They're not. It's going to be up to us to try to make that happen some way, somehow. Get your PR on the team, look on the phone. They try to then make some phone calls. However you got to do it. But in the future, this can basically rocket it to a whole nother level permanently for the sport of boxing if it's continued. The bar has been set. The measuring stick is out. It's proven that it can work. A lot of people has put their focus into looking at all these various platforms, talk about different subjects, but yet, dealing with two names. The build-up, the viewership, and everything else is self-promotion is huge. You're talking about readily accessible each and every morning, afternoon, evening, morning, afternoon, evening. We have to keep it going. And then it would be good if the other teams, if they laugh, they also find some justification into it because they might find themselves up here doing the exact same thing. If you laugh at some of the, back and forth and the debating and the arguing, well, that happens in conversation. You know what I'm saying? That happens between two people, especially in the heat of competition. But if we can continue to push the energy and to be honest with you, whoever gets the drop gets the drop. I'm not sitting up here saying I don't want so-and-so to get the drop. Man, to each his own. It's a Serengeti out this bitch. It's a Serengeti. I say it all the time. It's all about who selects this particular person to communicate with. That's what it's about in media. It's a hard knock life, man. So if you got somebody that's willing to, hit you up and give you the drop, then take that shit. But what I'm saying to the team that haven't been a part of this, you need to understand, if you allow us to be in your life a little bit and understand what's going on and to promote your fighter, it's a beautiful thing, man. It continues to change the game. It takes it away from old media to new media, old versus new. Not too many people are sitting down, walking to the end of the driveway. Let me walk outside and goddamn grab this newspaper and goddamn come in and drink my coffee and see what we're gonna do today. Let me see what them boys doing over there in the boxing ring. Man, not too many people doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? They're looking online. We've hit a whole nother, a whole entire, it's just changed into a whole nother stratosphere, in my opinion. It's been proven, and I just want us to stay with it. Just stay with it for upcoming fights. Team members, trainers, I can absolutely say without any compunction though that, like I mentioned before, this has changed the game. Now, a lot of people may not like every dialogue that was had with Bill Haney, but I would have to say he did change the game. He did. He did. You have to give him. If you don't give him credit, you're just being a hater, because I didn't say you had to agree with everything he said, but I'm saying somebody with his stature and his the role that he played in his son's life as a prominent figure in the sport of boxing, the amount of hours have absolutely extended over time. For anybody on that level to say, you know what, let me drop in here. Let me drop in here. You know what I'm saying? That shit was hilarious. It's almost like being in the field deployment, man. And they send you out on a detail, and you have certain points that you have to find the grid coordinates to. But the only way you do it, you have a compass, and you have to go find these boxes. Sort of like land nav, but yet this is more tactical. You have to pay attention to your surroundings. And he is absolutely dropped in and not stayed on there for 5 minutes. And what's huge about it is that it absolutely changed and proved that social media and the boxing platforms that we have on here can be heard in a different manner. Y'all have to understand how that shit works. Now, the second base of it is that how much would you respect? What is everybody cut out to put in that much effort? Because we know that Gary Russell and Devin Haney's fan base have, grew. You know what I'm saying? Their fan base was injected with new media over a 2-week span. And the primary front runner that's been dropping in all over the freaking place. Overtime, debates, energy, conversation. You have to salute it and commend it, because it's changed the level and it's changed the standard of new media. For somebody to put that much time into something, me being a Marine, we are demanded to go out here and complete the mission. Mission accomplishment is everything. In order for you to get mission accomplishment in preparation for operation, what do you must do? You must prepare. Proper preparation prevents piss poor planning. You have to go out here and prepare. Preparing might take you into the wee hours of the night when you should have got off at 16:30 military time, but yet you're still there. Me being an IT dude, it's sometimes we was stay on in that bitch until the system and communications came up green with certain units that was already on deck. The advanced party, as they call it, we had to make sure that was taken care of. It ain't no going taking no shower. You in the field. It's certain people that had that luxury, but my point is, when you have the mission, you must do everything possible to make that shit happen effectively. You have to be successful at your job. And of course, your performance depends on your promotion and everything else. In this particular scenario, a promotion can be considered for Devin Haney and more fans, more notoriety, more popularity, more people tuning in to him, more people supporting him. For Gary Russell, more people tuning in, more people supporting him. This has changed the game, man. And you just got to give respect where it's due for consistency. That's how I play, man. That's how it got to be done. Hard work, man. I know you hear Floyd say it all the time, but hard work. You got to put in hard work, whether people see it or not. put in the hard work, and then sooner or later they identify it. They'll look at it and assess it. You know what I'm saying? They'll say, okay, so and so been putting in some field work. I get it. All right. Castro, what's good? What's good with you, bro? Salute to you. I know it's gonna be certain individuals, like Castro says, just making him look desperate. I think for what you're saying is, the comment I made with Bill Haney or what have you. And those individuals that come in here, you have every right to speak your mind about whatever the case may be. But what I will behoove you to do is catch him on a platform, and then you drop the comment. He has no problem. I'm not speaking for him. I don't speak for the grown man. Me and him the same age, and he can pretty much handle his own dialogue. But if you haven't seen, there's been people that have had disagreements, and I would just suggest that when you see him on another live, just drop the same comment. Let him know that you feel that he's desperate, and he may absolutely respond to that. You know what I'm saying? Drop the link. The link may be dropped, Castro, and you need to step up and take that. Don't just say somebody's desperate. Click on the link. You know what I'm saying? Click on the link, shouty. I appreciate you stopping through, though, my brother. It's nothing here. If you don't have to agree with everything I say, it's all good, man. But I'm just saying, when you see him on when you see him on a platform, just keep the same energy and say what you had to say, man. That's all. That's all I'm saying, man. Okay, I didn't see that. What platform was that on, man? Lawrence William in the building, man. Salute to you. What's good? I haven't seen it. I mean, I think the most fiery, heated situation was on Champ's side to date. I think that was the most heated. But what I'm saying to you is, all you have to do is just get his attention, keep on dropping the same shit on what you disagree with. I'm pretty sure he'll respond. You know what I'm saying? It's easy work, man. It's easy work for you to do that. Oh, okay. I get you. All right. Shout out to Punch Drunk too, man. Shout out to Punch. But we should take that in consideration, man, that you can have your opinion at Castro, real talk. But my emphasis is, if I don't advocate for my kid in that position or any position, just in education alone, just raising them as a father and all that, if I don't go through the deepest depth and the farthest length of determination to get the shit done, who am I? I'm cutting myself short. Some of us hold ourselves accountable. What he's been able to do is just bring in a whole nother fan base to tune in and know who his son is. The same can be said about Gary Russell and Batman putting in all that effort too. Batman put in just as many hours as Bill did. But my topic of discussion was just the whole fact that it's changed the game. And when you have an individual showing presence on social media, new media, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Regardless, it's a huge deal. And a different bar has been set and elevated, and hopefully it continues in the sport of boxing. And it would give some of these regular fans that tune in, or the temporaries or whatever, it would give them a firsthand look. No matter where they at, they can be at work or whatever. They don't have to wait to a certain fight date. They can tune in and check out what's going on immediately. And then they can make their assessments on whether they want to support that individual or not. But when it comes down to the reality there, everybody, social media is accessible. You don't have to wait for, hey, so-and-so, can we get this happen? No, you have multiple platforms that can make this happen. And I'm going to leave it at that. You can absolutely make it happen. You can absolutely make it happen. He said, but I don't mean in a bad way. I mean like not being able to get fights. And that's what the determination come in at. Determination comes in at Castro. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep on pushing and driving, pushing and driving, push. You know, you got to make something happen sooner or later. You know, the good thing about this process is the videos can be shared, audio clips can be taken, downloads, regenerated clips. You know what I'm saying? Submitted videos. There's so many ways to manipulate and get the news out on these social media videos. It's so many ways. They can be downloaded, man. They can be readdressed with commentary. It's so many other ways to get the message out there. It's just unfreaking believable. You don't have to wait till ESPN play it. You know, Teofimo Lopez was on ESPN and they gave him a short clip. I mean, you're not going to get a huge amount of time on ESPN, but Teofimo visiting sites, you know, like on Punch Drunk, visiting interviews. Guess what? He don't have to rush. Shit, he's there. Boom, I got time. Let me go over here and talk this and then get this interview out the way, you know, and then people tuning in. Oh, shit, T.O. going to be over here. Let me tune into that. They don't have to freaking buy a motherfucking app. They don't have to subscribe. They don't have to sit up here and just look at one way. No, they know a whole lot of people are going to be picking up on this. People can share it to their Facebook. You know what I'm saying? They can put it on their IG. Whatever they want to do it. Multiple platforms can get this viewership. And that's all I'm saying. But it's all good, man. You know what I'm saying? If you good, if you destined to be great in the sport and fighters don't want to fight him, it's going to be up to persistence to get the attention of people to make those fights. Or else it's going to be what it is, you know? People are going to criticize you no matter what. That's what we see all the time. Criticism, criticism, criticism. No one boxer is perfect. No record is perfect. It don't matter. I ain't talking about undefeated. I'm talking about the resume. No one fighter is perfect. Just say, for instance, near the prime, the competitive prime of your career, you're facing the hitters. You're facing the hitters, right? And then you start your decline. And you start taking an L here, 2 wins against soft touches, and then, you know, take an L with the top opponent. What do you think they're going to talk about? They're going to talk about when you was competitive and then where you at right now. That's just the way boxing goes. Now, you may say to yourself, but look at Andre Ward. But look how many boxers do what Andre Ward and Floyd Mayweather did. A lot of boxers don't take that consideration. A lot of boxers aren't Ricardo Lopez. Nobody really talk about that. A lot of fighters is just not going to jump out the sport undefeated just so they can walk around and say, I'm undefeated. I'm undefeated. People really don't care. They're going to look at your resume and say, well, if you're undefeated, why you didn't stay in there, huh? Huh, champ? This is boxing. You got to challenge yourself. And you be like, motherfucker, I did challenge myself. That's why I'm undefeated. But do you think just having an undefeated record, you didn't have enough, you didn't have any more left in the tank? You had to have more in the tank. That's all I'm saying, man. Exhaust all means. And you're going to say to yourself, God damn, you sorry motherfucker. You going to do this to me? After all I've done for you, I've given you everything in the ring, and it's still not enough. You sorry mother. That's what they're going to say. It's never enough. It's never enough. Look, you might well get that one on your record, put it behind you. So people just won't say shit. You know what I'm saying? Because when it comes to Lomachenko, they're going to talk about Salido. Always. When it comes to Gary Russell, they're going to talk about Lomachenko. That is the temporaries of the sport. When you attach one fighter to an individual's rise in the sport and how they competed, it's temporary talk. You know, it's just unfair for these names to be attached to the fighter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just unfair, to be honest with you. Gennady Golovkin is 41-1, 35 knockouts. And he will always be linked up to Canelo Alvarez. Always be linked to Canelo Alvarez. Always linked up to Canelo Alvarez. Always. Now you can say, oh, well, what about Kell Brook? They're going to say, well, Kell Brook was moving up divisions. And he was too small to be in there with Gennady. But since Kell Brook is not considered a great fighter, even though, respectfully, his record is respectable now, they're going to link Gennady Golovkin up to certain individuals that he stepped in there, and they're going to say, well, were they great or not? After Daniel Jacobs stopped his knockout streak, were they great? Because after Daniel Jacobs and he started increasing his competition, where did the KOs go? Where did the KOs go? We ain't talking about moderation. We're talking about where did the KOs go with the top competition? So you have to take that in consideration. That's all I'm saying. Velocity in the building. Salute to you. 801. Salute, man. Appreciate your input, that Castro. Appreciate your input. At least you dropped input in there, dealing with the talking point. I appreciate it. I get where you're coming from. No, I haven't. No, I have not heard or been on the channel as such. And if it's going to be anything like, well, I'm just going to, speak your mind, and then it's going to be an all out, barrage of verbal sparring and obscenities and vilification of multiple people at one time. It's not for me. Let me look it up right quick, though. You said, oh, sports channel. I really don't have vested time, to want to. That's sports channel. If it's a sports, it's a multiple sports channel. I don't see what this has to do with what I cover, boxing and mixed martial arts, because they cover multiple sports. It seems like he's covering boxing too. You know what I'm saying? He has boxing channels out there. You know what I'm saying? But also he has, it's okay. It's okay. But it's not something I'm going to be jumping on right away. You know what I'm saying? When people do videos about other channels in a negative way, I would rather you just do a live and have a talking point and voice what you have to without putting a thumbnail up there on other channels. That's what a lot of people do for views and everything like that. I just feel that to each his own. That's all I'm going to say on that. To each his own. That's not something I choose to invest my time in. Not that I can't do it. It's just not something I choose to. I'm going to stick to what my system is. But moving on to Wilder. Deontay Wilder's in camp, y'all. And also, he's doing no interviews. And like I say all the time for the champ, it'll be great to talk to, greatness. But I look at it like this: being in Deontay Wilder's position, and what actually happened to him. The 2 times him leading up to the Staples Center and MGM Grand, is that he shouldn't be doing any interviews. If you listen to my other lives, I said the same thing all the time. You don't have to. You gave the fans everything with 42 wins. You gave them everything they can ask for. You fought the top heavyweight in the sport. In a rematch, you lost your title. We get it. But also, we have to respect the fact that Deontay Wilder stepped in there and fought him. Unlike Anthony Joshua. If you're going to have him in the top 3 heavyweights of boxing, you have to look at who he's fought and who he hasn't fought. And if he had the opportunity to fight, why didn't he? And there's always a talk out there who was first. Deontay Wilder was first. Deontay Wilder was first. I'm not talking about Tyson Fury being out the sport now. I'm talking about first when we're talking about once Anthony Joshua had the belts and Deontay Wilder had the belts, and we're talking about holding all those belts, and all you had to do is link up for one more. Just like we have right here in the lightweight division. All you had to do is link up with one fighter that holds that WBC title. That's all he had to do. But yet they wanted to be scoundrels and finagle themselves around and not make the shit pop off the way it could have and set history. It would have been one of the biggest fights to look forward to if Deontay Wilder would have stepped in there with Anthony Joshua without all the flat fee shit and try to take advantage of him. And even though he was basically conforming and compromising to willing to go over there to the UK to fight, he didn't care. Let's go to enemy territory. It's not like it hasn't happened before. There's plenty of fighters went over there in the fighter's backyard to fight. He didn't care. But when it came down to it, it's too many excuses. It was just too much back and forth. And we know what the reason was. All the hardcore fans, we know. But he's in camp right now. He's training. He's not doing any interviews. He's focused. It's all business. Formations are formed. And it's time to get back. It's time to return and claim what is rightfully yours. It's time to return and cross the line of departure and go to war and get that belt back. Period. It ain't no option when it comes to U.S. fans facing a U.S. champ. It gets a little crazy when both of them are hanging out in the U.S. and one is a neighboring fighter and one isn't. That's what it gets a little disgraceful when it comes to supporting one of your own. You know what I'm saying? People like, what if so-and-so did? What if they did? I can't really, they don't walk right, or they do this. Just like that idiot was over here, whatever his name. Talking I had Chris Eubanks Love or whatever he had on his shit. And other people was telling me, man, yeah, he be on this channel and all that. People change their name just to come on a motherfucking channel. But yeah, he want to get personal and talk all that bullshit. Nobody want to hear about nobody personal shit, not me. I'm tell you, this internet it's freaking undefeated. It's undisputed. It's a savage. Don't come over here talking about people's personal life like you perfect, motherfucker. You up here drinking, you intoxicated, slurring your speech, but yet you up here trying to dog out the champ. Don't nobody want to hear that bullshit. I just don't get impulsive and cuss motherfuckers out just for the drop. I just don't put forth the energy unless it's worth it. That's all. I could have did him dirty. Really, I could have did him dirty, but I just didn't want to waste no time on that cat. But Deontay Wilder, salute to you, champ. Return back to these battlegrounds, man. And not only prove to yourself that you can go in there and defeat this fraud. Let every naysayer that didn't support you in the beginning figure it out through your action. That's all you have to do. You really don't have to say it with words. You can go in there and let your actions speak and be 43 with 42 knockouts. 43 with 42 knockouts. 43 wins and 42 knockouts. Yes, that's what we're looking at. Come back and touch Fury up real nice. We already know you can drop him, champ. We already know that shit can happen. We already know, if you made the proper changes in your camp, you can go ahead and outbox this fool. That's why it's called the sweet science. You have alternatives. And COVID-19 has really allowed, provided Deontay Wilder a little bit more time to go ahead and make those changes if he, that he needed, invite other people in the camp and do what he need to. When it comes down to it, I feel where he coming from with no interviews and not talking to these ungrateful individuals. Just come back to the battlefield, man, locked and loaded. Put your armor on any way you feel like it. Because we already know you got heart. You would have fought till you went out on your shield. We already know that. Ain't one motherfucker on here say Deontay a pussy. He goddamn, he don't have no heart. He a quitter. No one would say that shit. But as a man, I understand where you're coming from by not talking to those boos and jeers of when those people were supposed to be there for you, but they wasn't. I understand why you don't want to talk to nobody. Seriously. Because when you was being the people's champ, man, a lot of people didn't appreciate it. All they had was criticism, knockout after knockout after knockout. And I'm saying to myself, I seen a motherfucking auditorium full that was cheering for Deontay Wilder when he was fighting another fighter of color. When he was fighting the Luis Ortiz, the Romain Staverns, the Dominique Brazils. I heard it. It was chaotic up in there. You saying to yourself, damn, they love the champ. But then, this whole other shit took place. Like that funny ass California shit. Where you get too many motherfuckers over there for the sunlight. You know what I'm saying? They got too much radiation. They've been in the sun too much. They're not thinking straight. They come over there and boo the champ and cheer on a drug cheat. He coming. Don't worry about it. Deontay Wilder coming. He returning. Don't worry about it. He's going to return. I have all the faith in the world. He's going to return and get that green strap. 43, 42 knockouts. And the one ain't going nowhere. That's there. The loss is there. We all know he lost. So like Keith Thurman said, shit, yeah, I want my get back. But right now, I'm just trying to get back. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the champ to return. That's what it is. I'm not going to beat it all the way in just yet. I'm going to wait till it get closer. But hey, y'all stay tuned, man. It's some big fights coming on in the next 2 weeks. It's a pretty decent boxing card, mixed martial arts card that's popping up on the 26th. You have to make your decision on which one you want to purchase. I went over it yesterday. I really didn't put it in the details today on YouTube. But you have to choose, else you're gonna come out the pocket for over $130. You know what I'm saying? That's huge. And Erickson Lubin stepping there with Goucher. I really want to see Erickson Lubin get back on track. He's on a winning streak. Okay. What I mean by get back on track is him stepping in there with one of the top names in the championship position. When you want to talk about a fighter who took a bad loss and it took him forever to get back in the title contention, that's why it leaves me a little bit puzzled as to see fighters who wasn't knocked out like Lubin, and just because they have a more popular name, they still remain in the top 5. You know, it's gonna took Erickson Lubin a while to even get back into the position. Like J-Rock, for instance, he had to climb a little bit. But now that he took another bad loss via knockout, it's gonna take him a little bit longer to get back in the picture too, where fans, you know, just look at him like, okay, they might say, what J-Rock are we getting? We're gonna get the Jared Hurd J-Rock? Or we gonna get the Jason Rosario J-Rock? That's all I'm saying, people. Bronze Bomber, let's get it, bro. Show these fools, you know, shut their mouth by action. You don't have to talk to us. It's all good. Focus on what matters, man. Don't believe all the accounts that you see out there either. There's some fake accounts going out there. I posted one that, you know, came out with Malik Scott, and it wasn't true. It was fake news. Be careful about what you're reading on Facebook with all these fake accounts that's going on with Wilder's team, you know, Malik Scott and everything else. Don't believe everything you see. You know what I'm saying? Don't do it. It's gonna leave you out here crazy. Fact check it first. Check out some sources. Check out the thumbnails on who's talking about it and who isn't. It's some outlets out here that'll make a thumbnail on all the damn fake news just for attention. But check around online, man, before you are here and take it for fruit. You know what I'm saying? Before you think it's sweet, just check around before you go out here. But in the meanwhile, man, I shall be back on a little bit later. I got to drop this because I got stuff to do. Brother got to bounce. But like I said before, man, let's start talking about, you know, as this fight get closer and closer, Lomachenko Lopez, man, it's for the unification, not the undisputed. Do not include this franchise belt that has no validity to the sport of boxing. It's up to us to keep on driving the fact that the winner of that fight should face the WBC world champion, period. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports.